Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Galactivations. I am here with my co-host, Blue Lightning. Blue, how you doing?
Hey,
What was that?
that was some light language is all about how we could communicate through the ethers
Hmm.
without vocally communicating. So I was hoping literally everyone's ears that are going to see this in the future, and not just the near future, but the distant future.
Ooh,
There's a significance to where I am right now.
is there? You are at one of the world's best kava bars you mentioned earlier to me.
Florida and the United States of America, I call it the kava country. There are over 300 kava bars, kratom bars, in this state alone. This particular kava bar
Wait, but
is
what
known
state are
as
you in?
in Florida.
Florida.
The original area where kava started was Fort Lauderdale and parts of West Palm and Cocoa Beach. And then St. Petersburg and Tampa Bay, Florida, were some of the OG spots. This kava bar, owned by mutual friend James, who's been to over 200 kava bars, like myself, who's been to about 100, 150. The reason for this journey hasn't just been for vacation or for leisure. It's been to spread what I call global immunity, global galactic ascension. We have spiritual and individual immunity, and then we have global and planetary immunity. We have individual ascension in karma, and then we have planetary ascension and karma. So I had to choose this spot in this particular way because of how the immunity boosting energies through the ethers, through the field, through the grid, is going to then be spread out. So whomever watches this in the United States especially will then go on the prowl to look for and look up, is there a kava bar near you? And what is kava? And how do you learn more? The Kava Critics Connection, Facebook.
Kava
And or
Critics
Kavatar
Connection.
Awakening. On Instagram is Kavatar Awakening. And we all have our own innate avatars within our own being, interlinked with our higher selves and our oversoul. So once someone knows that and embodies their avatarian essence, they can then begin to dance and walk on their own unique journey of life.
I'm trying to understand what this Kavatar thing is. Would you say that I have found mine, or is this something that happens once you dabble into the world of kava?
It happens when you dabble into the world of kava.
Okay.
It will help to coherently link you up to your own eternal oversoul higher self. And it'll create a natural semblance of coherence between the heart and the mind just by drinking and experiencing an ancient root passed down from the Lyrans long ago.
Lemurians, interesting. They were in my dream the other night. Okay, out of curiosity, do you reckon I can get kava in Costa Rica? Cool.
Ask, there used to be and there might still be a kava bar that's actually in Costa Rica. And if
Google,
there's a health food store, they should have a type of brand known as Kona Kava from Hawaii at the health food store.
okay, I'm gonna investigate this because when we had it in Mount Shasta, I mean, I know it was like homemade and very raw and unflavored and earthy, but I actually did like it, and I want to start drinking it regularly because I know it's really good for you both physically and spiritually. How can I make kava? Can I find a kava root here?
Well, the easiest is instant kava. And that's the easiest thing. Sometimes people don't have the patience to learn how to make the more elaborate kava. Fruit would grow excellently in Costa Rica, but I don't think it's actually going to even be there because it's not a well-known island that
Mm.
carrying it. It's the islands that are known to carrying it are Hawaii, Tonga, Waka, Vanuatu, Fiji. I'm going to reemphasize Fiji is really
Mm.
well known, and Costa Rica is the perfect climate. If someone wanted to create their own kava farm, I mean, it would be needed because kava is starting to run on a bit of a shortage because of all the kava bars that are opening up in the United States, bringing that root and that plant back to life because we need more of it in the country, in the world.
Interesting. Cool. Okay. I'm going to investigate this a little more. See if I can find something down here.
In Philadelphia, there's a town called New Hope. Okay, New Hope, and it's literally the name of the town.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a kava there called Magic Kava, and it's literally like a magic shop of like an apothecary, something you would see out of it, like out of a Harry Potter movie.
Ooh.
And it's not created, but it's over 100 different herbs that are for healing and wellness, that are for teas and for powders, and you can make your own capsules and your own supplements. And it's one of the only kava bars that's a full-blown apothecary.
Dude, that is so my vibe. I love herbalism so much. So, you guys, today we are going to be talking about the different star races and star beings, and then leading into the pantheon of the gods and all the different gods, because there's a lot that is out there, but then there's a lot that's not out there. What are you trying to, what is this? Is this a kava brand?
Yeah.
Very
Lay low.
distracting. Lay low.
Only by New York-based and branded company Laylow, helping you to feel chill as you lay low.
Oh my God. As you lay low. That's so funny. Okay, so I guess we'll start with like the different star races for people who are star seeds and trying to figure out where they're from. There's obviously the very typical ones like the Pleiadians, like me, the Lyrans, the Syrians, the Mintakans. Like there's a lot that are like, I feel like the main few that are shared online, but then there's a lot that are a little more rare that people don't really talk about. So can we chat about, we'll do the first one as the blue avians.
There are multiple colored avians. The blue are the most well-known. I am a blue star being, and it's actually something I need to know. Personally, I had to know and learn about who the blue avians were in order to start embodying more of the blue ray and the blue lightning essence. The blue avians are an ancient, future, now race of species. They're literally from star system Avian or Avia, or in some cases they're from a star system known as Avalon or Avalodia. They're associated with the Ontarians and the Ontarians, the Aryans, and the Asgardians at the same time. There's a lot of mythological lore about the Avians in ancient Japanese culture. And that's not the only culture that will talk about the Avians and have pictures of them and statues of them, but they used to be known, not anymore, but they used to be known as a race of species who were all about causing war, causing and creating deliberate war for the sake of preservation of the species. You're like, how does war preserve the species?
And how are they known now?
Now they're known as a race of species who, ironically, their karma is the war they caused.
So they're still racist, basically, is what you're saying. Like that has not changed.
Another war that they started, and they're known as the beings who caused the 1,000-year-old war, the 1,000-year-old war. This war for millennia. It's still happening in the Middle East, and it's also what's happening between Russia and between Ukraine. Some of the, now this is going to get very political. I don't need it to. I'm going to be very vague when I go this route. But some of the Nazis worked with the Aryan species, and those Aryan species were a culmination of different star races. One of them was the Avians, and at that point they weren't blue. They were like grayish black looking species. They will sometimes emanate blue from a false artificial source to make it look like they're luminous and bright, but really they're not. And one of the most well-known prophecies intersociated with an avian type bird tribe being is known as the Mothman prophecies. And a lot of people will associate the white owl or the owl with those Mothman prophecies and the Celestine prophecies. And those beings, those bird tribe beings, are known as Avians.
Who's the Mothman?
It's not a who.
What's the Mothman?
It's a race of species.
Oh, okay. Can we go into? Okay, so hold on. I'm gonna get very distracted in a second.
They're hybrids of greys and avians combined.
Ah, okay. I want to get into some of the traits and characteristics of the Avians when they reincarnate on Earth, so that people who are listening, if they are that, they can identify. And then I want to talk about the Mothman. May the force be with you.
These subject matters are so intense that the humor is the only way, the cosmic humor is the only way to offset the intensity.
That's okay. We love the inner child moments. Gotta embrace it.
So, repeat the question.
Can you give some traits and characteristics of blue avians as they incarnate on Earth? So if you are a blue avian starseed, what are some things that would be like a trait or characteristic about yourself that would allow you to identify with them?
Most birds are a downgrade, a descension of a higher bird tribe species. You could say that about any animal. Tigers, lions, bears, oh my. And basically, if you have a cat, that's a descended essence of a much higher oversoul feline Lyran essence. Well, the same thing with the avians. The best thing for the blue avians that someone could literally observe themselves into, observe as in meditate into, is meditating on the essence of the blue jay.
Okay.
Or the cardinal, the red cardinal. Because you'll discover that there's then red avians. And then there's like multicolored avians, like freaking parrots, as an example. Tropical parrots are some of the best examples of avians because they can actually communicate and talk.
Okay, but sorry, the rain keeps just starting and stopping from the side. I'm like wondering if we're gonna get a tropical rainstorm on this pod. But how does that help people?
In the next 10 minutes, and it's not going to be from me, but it's going to be from someone like me.
Say again, sorry?
Everyone's going to hear some thunder and lightning soon.
Okay, but so what you just said about meditating on the blue jays and the cardinals is great for people who are already identifying with the blue avian, but what if you don't know what you are? Like how can people identify with it? Like what are some things?
I'm going to say something.
How do you know if you're a blue avian?
I'm going to say something real quick, and that's there's going to be someone in this audience, or maybe a handful, that's like, well, aren't we just everything? And we're everyone from everywhere? Yes, true. But there are some people that are predominantly more this and more that. How you know and how you detect that is a teaching unto itself. There's levels of teaching within the pineal gland and the different glandular muscles of like the pituitary and the hand, the palms have to be activated, the soles of the feet have to be activated, the heart has to be activated. And then you can then innately carry the ability to detect and read who is so-and-so, what race or what species are they and why? What information and codes and skills do they come in with? and what lifetimes did they have. So predominantly, Alexis almost automatically hands down Nordic Palladian species with a bit of Lyra and a bit of what they would call golden dragon, golden bird tribe, golden dragon beingness.
Okay,
And
but can we 3Dify this for a second? So if I give you some examples, maybe that'll help. So for example, the Arcturians are very analytical and very like fact-based and like the patterns and analyzing and etc. Versus the Pleiadians who just love to help others and have a very loving presence, and then the Venusians who are just emanate pure love all the time. Like, is there a trait like that that if you're a blue avian, you will notice within yourself and allow you to be like, oh shit, maybe this is me?
yeah,
Okay, so that's what I'm asking. What is that?
the trait that someone should look out for is if they're either obsessed or fanatical, and or they went to school like an actual major for history, geography, um, literal statistics and studies of war and art, and they have a fascination with martial arts.
Ooh, interesting. Okay.
But there are some people who will know how to read and write music, whom are more likely to be an avian than someone who's just able to play music.
Okay.
And usually, someone's able to play music, that's an avian, is a maestro, is a literal prodigy. That person is able to play multiple instruments, read music, and even write the music, symbols of music, and at some point has been or might be a composer in like a musical symposium of like a symphonic orchestra. That is a good example of like a prime humanoid activated avian within their human essence.
That's really cool.
A judge, a good example is a judge. Judges are known to being avians, actual judges. People who are into the performing arts, but more Shakespearean performing arts than just like random Broadway. The person would have had to have gone out of their way to study Shakespearean like performing arts and like plays and writing plays. So the ability to even being a script writer is another prime example that you're more than likely an avian. And this is the Gipper. This is the big one. William Henry wrote a book that is now out of print called, I'm going to get the title wrong. It's called One with the Bird Tribe. It's actually called along the lines of Awakening the Bird Tribe, or I have seen different titles in my mind with that book because I read it in multiple different realities and multiple different dimensions. But one of the main pretenses in that book is about the bird tribe and the avians. The main pretense in there is he begins talking about Nashville. You know what the fuck, Nashville? Well, in Nashville, Tennessee, there are these historical redemptions of birds and birds singing music, birds playing music, and birds composing the performing arts in which would be considered the musical country and rock and roll hall of fames of our nation. And there are these historical landmarks that have been there for a long time. They say it's only been there for a couple hundred years, but it's actually been there for hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of years longer, because the avians back then were helping humanity bring in the arts, bring in music, bring in, script and writing. Like that's what they were known for doing, is bringing in culture.
Gotcha. That's really cool. That's like a fun addition to humanity. Like you are the ones that brought in all of our music and culture. I for some reason thought Venusians also brought music.
They
Maybe
brought
I'm
in they different kind of music. Every star species had brought in a different kind of music at some point, but the Avians brought in the type of music that would be a combination of symphonic, classical music, interwoven, like Mozart. Great example of an Avian.
Interesting.
Um, but every star species brought in a different type of music or science, but the Avians brought in the most well known.
Gotcha. Okay.
That's going to stay for the rest of humanity. It'll be like 700 years from now, people will still be listening to classical music. But 700 years from now, people will not be listening to Blink 182.
That's fair. I get that. That makes sense. Can we move on to Mothmen? And then also, you said that there were two. We're not allowed to talk about Mothmen. How come? Why not? Why not? Why not? Why not?
They're associated with the bees, also known as the Jersey Devil, and they're predominantly a very benevolent group of species. Unless the person makes an alliance with them, and then they'll be peaceful with you and help. But it's not easy to make an alliance with Mothman species or Bigfoot or the Jersey Devil type species or Nessie and the Loch Ness Monster. Those beings are literally monsters for a reason. They're protecting something that humans should not get anywhere near.
But Nessie is so cute. I used to have a Nessie soup ladle.
But there are Nessies that are monstrous little devilish dragons.
I like dragons. I'm a golden dragon essence. It's in my blood. Okay, so you said that there were two other types of beings associated with the Avians. What were the other two? Can we go over those ones? Guys, for those of you listening, Blue just walked away from the camera. He's playing with the stuffed animals in this lounge he's sitting in. A little penguin stuffy. Okay.
A good place to start researching Avians real quick, the quickest, is owls in the owl tribe.
Is that an owl or is that a penguin?
Both. So penguins and our owls are a good origin point. The most benevolent origin point would be the penguin. The not so benevolent origin point would be the owl, because the Masons use the owl symbology for something not so good. So for all you burning out there, you don't know what you're worshiping. That's true. Sorry to burst your Burning Man bubble.
Okay, wait. I was literally I might be going this year. Let's talk about this. What do people think they're worshiping versus what is it actually? Let's get into it.
Let's cause some controversy. Okay. So I'm going to give you a crazy example. On one end, there's the light. On the other end, there's the dark. But guess what? They both look the same, depending on who's worshiping what. So in Burning Man, there's a high level 33rd degree control order by the Masons going on. Nobody knows who's at the top, who's actually instituting and creating Burning Man to even happen. People are literally worshiping the being known as Baal, Baphomet, and Beelzebub, and Beetlejuice. You do not want to say those names again. I'll say them one more time. Baal, Baphomet, Beelzebub, and Beetlejuice. They're all four different beings. But there's more than them. But the B ones, the ones that begin with B, Burning Man, B, are you typically the ones that people are indirectly worshiping in an unconscious state of mind. There are literal people being burned alive at Burning Man.
Surely
nobody
not.
knows it. 100 billion%. And the Black Sun, the Order of the Black Sun, is actually in control of the Burning Man Festival. They are doing that to they want to. There's a side of it. There's a light side of it, but they both look the same now. that want to bring enjoyment and play and pleasure and fun to the people. But there's another side of it that wants to feed off the energy that the people are giving. They want people to literally burn away their beliefs in either a bit of consumerism and capitalism and the oligarchy of government and religion. We get it. You want to burn it all away. You want to burn the ego and kill the ego. We get it. But then on another end, there are literal people being sacrificed within this ceremony, or within this, they call it a grand alchemical dark mage order of a ceremonial essence that is there to feed off people. You can feed off of joy just as much as you can feed off of sadness.
That's true.
And someone like Alexis, now that she knows this, she'll be investigating and try to figure out, what's going on. Because at the last festival that Alexis and I went at, in this weird balloon tent thing, some of the darkest
balloon.
Some of the darkest MK Ultra programs were being installed and programmed into people's minds in that balloon tent thing at the festival. And that's a grand example of how they...
Okay, I have a question about that, because I know the people who run that festival, and they're both really amazing people, light workers, spiritual musicians, etc. So is it the people and the crowd that were attracted to the festival that were doing this, or was it part of the setup and the organizing and the people running it that was doing it? Like how do people who are so good in nature end up with something like that?
It's usually the people that are running it for the people that started it.
And is this like an unconscious thing that their soul is doing, or are they consciously activating and sending through the codes?
They come off as light, but they're actually going.
A lot of them that come off as extreme light are actually extremely dark.
Is that what Mark just said?
Yeah.
There's, by the way, you guys, for those watching and listening, there is one of Blue's friends, Mark, also in the room. He's just not on camera. Interesting. I'll have to marinate on that.
Now, this is the difference between going beyond the 33rd order and the 33rd degree and going beyond the owl-like essence. Because the owl symbology is the symbology of the Avians, but a dark symbology as well as a light symbology. Like the other day, one of my friends, and she's still obsessed with capturing and communicating with this white owl. And this white owl keeps showing up to her and keeps showing up. And she gets more and more pictures and photos of it. But at the same time, depending on where she's coming at with it, she can get lost and put down a dark rabbit hole with being obsessed over the owl. Also, a lot of old ancient mystery schools and the Order of the Black Sun will utilize the owl as that type of symbology.
I have a very controversial question. Are you ready for it? Is Drake a black sun?
The musician?
Yeah, well, because OVO's symbol is an owl. That's like the first thing that came to my mind.
Anybody who's tattooed and branded with certain symbologies are prime targets to being MK Ultra and puppet.
That kind of answers the question, but not really.
May not at the heart level be evil or dark, but the people that are orchestrating and his agents and his staff and the music industry may be the ones doing the puppeting without Drake even knowing that he's being puppeted. That may not be a bad thing, because even me, I'm being guided by my higher self and these other spirit guides. The difference is my spirit guides are not directly entwined with the CIA and the MK Ultra that is associated with like mind controlling people through music or something. Some people would say even my poetry could be a type of a spell, but it's a spell to break all spells.
Interesting. I didn't know you wrote poetry.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Really cool. Do you want to go over one of the last star species and then start heading into the pantheon of the gods? I know that's something that you really want to talk about, and I'm really excited to
Well,
learn about.
we didn't even go into the other 14 star species.
I know, but I'm looking at the clock and I
These-
don't.
Like the talk of the avians are the talk of what everyone's talking about now, apparently.
What do you mean?
Everyone's obsessed with the avians.
You know, part of it actually, I think, is what's happening is there's a little girl on TikTok who's blowing up, who's a blue avian. And she is like recalling memories from her life there and different healing practices, etc., that it's being posted on TikTok. And I think that's why blue avians now are becoming a little more talked about, but still not a lot of information's out there about them. It's just the name keeps
Girl,
flying around.
she should go to Nashville.
Well, I mean, she's 3 or 4.
Well, her mom should take her there to show her one of the biggest monuments, historical monuments ever created for the avians, by the avians.
Hmm. That's really cool. Maybe I'll comment that on one of their videos. Can we talk about the Polaris species? Polaris,
I
Polaris?
never mentioned Polaris, but you're asking about them, so it's good that you're mentioning the Polarians. Polaris is our twin sister planet. I'm going to say this again. Earth, here we are. This is subterranean Earth.
Mm-hmm.
Polaris is prime matrix Earth, the creatrix. Polaris looks just like Earth, except it's bigger, it's brighter, it's more sophisticated, it's more advanced. It's literally our twin sister.
Wow. And what galaxy are they in?
They're not in another galaxy. They're in another universe within our solar system.
Ooh, that's cool.
You can actually see Polaris in the night sky.
Can you? Okay.
This certain, I don't know which direction it shows up in.
Are they in a different dimension?
It looks like when Arcturus, the star system, shows up in the night sky. But Polaris is a little bit more hidden.
Are they in a different dimension or are they in the same as us?
Different dimension, different universe.
True. Okay.
But
And
still
what
within our own solar system. It's
okay.
because you can like literally see it in the night sky. Like, oh, there's Polaris. Like if you
Yeah.
look up the star constellation Polaris, that's actually where Polaris is. And some people would say, well, that's not in our solar system. No, it wouldn't look like it's in our solar system on a 3D level, but on a cosmic space-time level, you fold space-time, it's in our solar system. They don't want you to find it because they don't want people to run away from this Earth to go to that Earth.
That makes sense. What's a little bit about their history? And what's their mission on Earth? Why are they why do people from Polaris reincarnate on Earth? What is their goal?
The reason
Why
why I'm shaking my head, everyone, is some of those beings just told me, they got angry at me.
the Polarians?
Yeah, they're like, oh, now everyone's gonna go look for us. That's okay. They'll make sure that those who start looking for them are worthy. So the Polarians have a history with beings known as Tartaria, Acadia, and interwoven with the ancient Aryans and the ancient Sumerians. But for most recent of modern day history is the Arcadians and the Tartarians. They were some of the last living known advanced species that lived on our planet only 300 years ago.
Oh, wow.
So everyone that is being told a lie about the Wild West and the Native Americans and Indians, all that was fabricated by a much higher control to prevent people from knowing and learning that the Wild West wasn't so wild. It was actually very technologically advanced. And a lot of what's hidden underneath the capitals of our countries and our states and our provinces are literally a cover-up of
Mm.
mud and mountains and terrain. And some of the oldest Capitol buildings in our country were constructed and developed with the help of the Polarians. And they moved on from this earth to create their own earth.
Mm. So the Tartarians and the Arcadians, are you implying that the Native Americans, for example, were Arcadians type of thing?
Yes, and they were more advanced and sophisticated than Native Americans and Indians than history will ever want anyone to know.
Wow.
So yeah, actual Native Americans and Indians are super advanced. In fact, they have the ability to shapeshift into animals and species, and they were masters of the natural stargates, and they were able to leave the planet and come off the planet and come back to the planet at will.
That is really cool. Same with
Not
the
everyone
Tartarians.
had this ability, just there were key people in their tribes that had that ability.
Yeah. Is that the same with the Tartarians as well? That is so
Now,
cool.
some would say the Tartarians and the Arcadians are not associated. Well, they are. The Arcadians use more arcane knowledge and alchemy and information, while the Tartarians use more advanced technology and alchemy.
Cool. And they're not here anymore.
They are.
Oh, they still are. Okay.
They're just phased out of reality. You can't see them.
No, but I meant incarnated as humans.
No, they're here living among us.
Oh, damn. That's so cool.
A lot of them are not walking around in streets. A lot of them are literally high level business, government, religious, hospital officials.
Makes sense,
Some
actually.
are still alive and they still live among us, but you don't hear of them or see of them. And there's a direct connection from this earth that they call Terras Novus.
Mm-hmm.
And then that earth is called Primus Polaris.
That's really cool, those about the Tartarians and the Arcadians. I'd actually never even heard of those until just now.
There's another name. They also are known as our Aryans, but out in India. But this is when people hear Aryan, they go, "Oh my God, not fucking!" First off, the Nazis bastardized and perverted the culture of the Aryans. They actually pillaged and tricked a lot of the Aryans and stole their artifacts and knowledge and called it for themselves.
Okay, what are the other species you want to go over? Slash, if we also don't have time for the gods today, then it's meant to be and we'll do it next time.
The Nordics.
All right, let's talk about the Nordics.
The Nordics are a good example of the Greek, Roman, Mediterranean pantheons that have helped discover the three Americas,
Okay.
known as North, Central, and South America. If it wasn't for them, we would not have America, period. When I say America, everyone automatically thinks the United States. Well, everyone, you're kind of like not so smart, because we have North America, Central, and South America that are just as significant, if not more significant, than the United States. And if it wasn't for the Nordics and those Greek gods and goddesses that are associated with their species, and literally the actual Vikings themselves were some of the most advanced beings. They were there to not only discover America first before Christopher Columbus. They want you to think Christopher Columbus was the one, but he wasn't. America was already well discovered before he even was born. And people can dispute me all they want, but if you look in deeper of who the American lineage was and American lineages were, they're still alive. I'm one of them, of many. You'll see that every single star nation, from United States, in all 50 stars, to Israel, to every single flag that has a star representation on it is an actual star nation. But if you just
Wow.
focus only on America, North, Central, and South America, you'll see the correlation with all those star beings.
Wow. That is really cool. And the Nordics discovered just the Americas or more?
More, but there is a giant thunder sound outside.
Which means
But
stop talking.
yeah, they didn't like everyone knowing about.
They're listening. Yeah.
They didn't like everyone knowing.
Okay, so if we go back to what we did with the blue avians in terms of physical things in the human world that people can identify with to understand whether or not they are Nordics, are there any of those? Are there any of them
Yeah,
incarnated on Earth right
great
now?
example, what I immediately heard it in my mind was carpentry.
Oh,
So someone who's a carpenter, not so much an engineer. I'm talking more about carpentry via wood and,
okay.
and metals, because there's metallurgy and then there's wooden oriented carpentry, and then there's even the prime example of being an architect and or a construction worker. A
Okay.
person is more likely to be a Nordic, Greek, Greece, or Roman goddess affiliated.
Ooh, the gods and the goddesses.
Yeah,
I love it.
yeah.
Super cool.
Another, but when I say this, I don't mean modern day math. So whomever is a mathematician of the ancient mathematics, which a lot of you are very rare, far few between, it's called Pythagorean mathematics. Whoever is really well versed with Pythagorean mathematics is more than likely a Nordic being. And
Okay.
you literally, as a Nordic woman, would have blonde hair, blue eyes. Sometimes red hair and green eyes.
Ooh,
Red,
fun.
they're the rarest, and they were the ones that were killed off deliberately by you don't want to know who,
Okay.
because the green hair, the green eyed, red hair Nordics were the most powerful moon on the planet.
Oh, wow. Something just fell in the tree. That's really cool. So people, is that like a, well, I guess I can't generalize it, but anyone with red hair and green eyes, especially females, are they automatically a Nordic or is it still,
Automatic Nordic.
that's so
They
cool.
remember or not.
Damn. I wonder if I know any of those humans in my life. I'm gonna have to investigate this now. Take a closer look at people's hair and eye
They're the
colors.
hardest to find. They are so hard and difficult to find with red hair, green eyes. I'm actually more sad and disappointed that they
Mm,
got killed off. I was there in a past life trying to prevent one of the biggest genocides that ever existed, ever had happened during the 12 to 1400s AD. It's fucked up. It really messed up what the Vatican control order did.
wow.
And with some help with the corrupted Aryans and just really weird galactic history. A lot of them are known as also Druids and Celts.
Mm,
You can
okay.
probably find more of them literally in Ireland. You just go to Ireland.
I mean, yeah,
Uh,
that would make sense. Okay. What do you want to tell us about the gods and the pantheon of the gods and all of that fun stuff? Because I know you had a specific message about that come through that you wanted to share.
when they talk about the X chromosome gene
Mm-hmm.
being mutated and or junk DNA, that junk DNA is actually genetics has been passed down from multiple lineages and pantheons. And once that DNA is activated in the right way, it can turn into what's known as the soul spark or the all spark or the God spark. And there's literal God genetics within people's DNA and blood that once activated and primed and tuned the right way, that person can then start to embody their own innate superhuman, super psychic godliness.
Is mine activated?
Well,
I always ask these questions.
before you ask that, every person would be individually correlated with a different, unique God,
Mm-hmm.
depending on what their um natural, super psychic, superhuman skill sets are. Everyone has to either figure out what that is, and or someone like myself helping them figure that out for them.
You told me that mine was from the goddess Lyra, who is the daughter of Achilles. Achilles. So back to my original question: is my spark activated?
She's also known as the goddess of liberty.
Mm-hmm.
Not so much the goddess of justice or freedom, but more so the goddess of liberty and the goddess of music. It's difficult to say because the harp as a musical instrument is a direct representation of the constellation Lyra. It looks like a harp. And behind it, whoever's holding the harp in the constellational star system is literally that daughter of Achilles who's holding the harp. And it almost would look like a woman playing a harp in the night sky, based on tracing the constellations of the stars. And holding and playing the harp doesn't automatically mean you're playing music. It could literally mean you're broadcasting.
Okay.
It can mean you're literally depicting art.
Her spark is kind of activated or not.
It's been confirmed that your spark is kind of activated, but not as high as it could be.
Ooh, how do I activate it more? How does anyone listening activate their spark?
It's based on the practitioner or the individual that you're working with. If they are skilled in galactic Akashic record readings and galactic genetic DNA activations, as well as guiding people through the quickening of lightning speed, quantum leaps, quantum jumps. You have to work with someone like myself or someone similar or equivalent. And before you work with someone else, the way you'll know that person is unique, is genuine, is if they're not giving their power away to archangels or deities or any kind. They're not giving their power away to any gods.
How do you know if they're doing that or not?
Well, I'll give you an example. Someone who's obsessed with calling an archangel Raphael. If you keep calling an archangel Raphael, if you keep calling him those archangels and you think that you're lower than them and they're somehow higher than you, newsflash, no, you're actually higher than them. They want you to think, the archangels want you to think that you're lower than them so they can control you and that you can keep calling on them for help when in fact you have your own angelic DNA built inside of you.
Interesting.
You have your own God DNA built inside of you. So then you can still call on Archangel Raphael as an example, but you work with them as equals, equal co-creators, and sovereignty, and union and communion as a cosmic citizen. So one way you'll know if you're working with the proper person is if you ask them, "Are you a cosmic citizen?" And they'll be like, "What? Are you sovereign?" And they'll be like, "Huh?" And if they don't answer yes right away, and they don't say that they're sovereign, don't work with that person.
Okay. Noted.
But even if they have the littlest concept of sovereignty and they feel like they are, they're building into it, that's better than someone who isn't.
Okay. Well, I mean, I have you, but that's good for people listening. / also, guys, you guys listening also have Blue. You just gotta contact him.
Yeah. I'm doing a reading right after this. Right after this, with a mutual acquaintance and friend of ours.
Yeah.
And she happens to be one of the first people in a long time to ask for a very advanced paid Akashic record reading and Merkaba light body activation teaching via video, over video.
It's so exciting. I learned a lot this episode.
Because heaven is just another term for higher astral realm.
Actually, that makes a lot of sense.
But beyond the higher astral realm is the galactic creatrix that is beyond the matrix.
Hmm.
Because heaven in of itself is still within a matrix.
I was gonna say, I was like, whenever I hear my friend Cash talk about the Galactic Federation and like all of the politics within that and the other star beings and the planets and all the wars and blah blah blah, in my brain, I think it's just another matrix. It's up there, different dimensions, more aware
When you
and conscious, but it's just another matrix.
when you hear the term on earth as it is in heaven,
Hmm.
it's the same difference as saying in heaven as it is on earth.
Interesting. Damn.
You can quantum leap out of the whole spiritual warfare.
How? Well, actually, I know how to quantum leap. That was a stupid question. That's interesting, though. I guess my how came from I don't know where that would be to jump to. I know how to jump, but how do I get to somewhere that I don't know exists or
The
that I
great
don't?
central sun of the galaxy.
The great central sun of the galaxy. Okay.
If you were to keep aiming it like a bow and arrow, keep aiming your light body. Make sure your light body's spinning at equitesimal speeds of light, harmonious speeds of light. Keep aiming it, keep aiming it, keep aiming it within, and keep aiming it throughout. You'll eventually quantum leap out of it.
Cool. Well, that a very practical question. If I were to do that now as a 3D human, would that like me this life? Would that end me if I quantum jumped into the okay.
The only thing
Practical questions here.
it'll probably end your some really crazy programs and belief systems, but it won't
Oh,
end you.
fuck yeah, let's do that then.
No, but you don't want to because then it'll be like fuck. There's no fashion, there's no style, there's no beauty, there's no makeup, there's no color. This is really boring. In the first few like months of it, it's like so black and white and dry and gray. You're just like, why did I ever do this?
There must be a middle ground somewhere, breaking all
There
those
is,
belief
but
systems and still
it's
enjoying the earth.
called tropical islands.
Look where I am.
Costa Rica.
Costa Rica. Cool.
Mark and I may go on a flight to Costa Rica.
I thought Cole was gonna come.
Wait, he can't go to Costa Rica. He doesn't have a passport. Never mind.
Okay, this is one thing that really I don't understand about Americans, and this is a huge generalization, but it's a thing that I have encountered. So many of you don't have passports, and I'm not saying this as a stereotype. I'm saying this as I have met so many Americans while I've been in America who don't have passports, and it blows my mind.
Americans.
Pardon?
United States Americans.
Yes. United States Americans. I feel like I don't even remember when I got my passport. I feel like I've just always had it. It blows my mind that you can live without one.
Actually, much they always had their passport, no matter what.
Yeah. Why do y'all not got it so much?
A lot of people like America so much. It's just
No, a lot of people like it to hate it and hate it to like it.
yeah, they don't want to leave. Yeah.
I mean, I guess you guys do have almost every climate.
National citizenship, planetary citizenship, the solar galactic citizenship, universal citizenship, cosmic citizenship.
Damn.
That's a whole question. Later. Like, later.
Okay, well, we'll talk about that later. The rain is getting really loud also. So I think this is probably a good time to cut it because I'm actually having a little trouble hearing because it's so loud, even if my mic's not picking it up. Perfect. Okay, everyone, thank you so much for tuning in today. I hope it was a very informational episode for you guys. I know I learned a lot because there was some things that I had questions on that Blue thankfully answered for us. I hope you guys all have a wonderful rest of your day coming from two people just like you.